Hello and good Monday morning to you, my squiggle poof capybaras of lemon meringue slushies. Welcome to Monday. It is our fourth and final episode of November's weekly reading book reviews for 2024. And boy, oh boy, do I have some stacks of books to talk about. Weird week as ever. So pour yourself a cup of coffee and let's talk about books that Hallie read this week. Okay, the first one I finished was Chuck Wendig's Dust and Grim. This was a lot of fun. No spoilers because unless you read the back cover, there's a mystery that you don't know what we're into until later in the book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a fast-paced, silly, funny romp with very voicey, very individual narrator, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if we're a fan of Wednesday Addams, etc., it's the right pick. Okay, super fun. This was middle grade, so appropriate for all ages, but tiny bit creepy in there. It's not R.L. Stein, but it could be spooky. Okay, the next one I finished, I believe I was in the midst of last week and had set aside. Again, look at that spot gloss cover. Invisible Kitties by Yoyo. This is Chinese fiction in translation with cute little kitty doodles, illustrations by the author. French flaps too, right? Nice. So love this book design. It was very... she's a poet, and so everything's a little kind of like a tiny essay on the essence of living with a cat, and it was just charming, low stakes. You could set it down and pick it back up, and thoroughly enjoyed this, not only because it's a beautifully designed book, but because it was a lot of fun. I do not own a cat, but I like to pretend. Okay, the next one I read, I've got mixed feelings about, guys. Mixed feelings. I know I showed you this one last week because I was obsessed with the rounded corners and it was gorgeous. So this is Lotería by Mario Alberto Zambrano. Hard to read. That's the best way to say it. Lotería is like, he explains it to those of us who didn't grow up with it as Mexican bingo, to where there's all these cards that have a story, or the person calling them has a riddle, and you make up your own board and then you knock them off and whatever. So there was familial abuse, and it was written from the perspective of a teenager in a home who doesn't want to talk about the thing that happened. And yeah, it was hard to read, but it was easy to read because, I mean, look how small the font is. So there is alcoholism and domestic abuse, and it was hard to read, but beautifully designed. I assume it was beautifully written. Critics love it. It just is a grown-up book and it exists. Okay. The next one I finished, we have a big stack of currently reading, by the way. It's coming. But currently finished, could not put this book down. This is Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz. I don't know how you say your last name. I'm sorry, Joy. I never watched One Tree Hill, but she was one of the main actresses on it. But if you can see on that shiny tag, it is Dinner for Vampires, life on a cult TV show, while also in an actual cult. So, wow. Wow. So could not stop turning the pages. It was hard to put down to leave the house. It won't take you that long, but I recommend having a morning or an afternoon where you don't have to do anything else, because you will want to keep turning the pages. There is a little bit of cussing, but in context, absolutely fine. Anyway, it was enthralling, and very sensitively done. Obviously, she's a survivor of said cult. I also really appreciated that it wasn't just like a science or living off the grid cult, but it started as like a living room Bible study, and then the coercive control and manipulation and all the horrible things that people with no authority in their lives, how they will take advantage of people who are just so longing for love and community, how they isolate you from your real family or friends or people who care about you or are worried about you, and that gaslighting and all the things. So definitely triggering if you've been a victim of coercive control or mental abuse, but also very life affirming for you are not alone. And so And the fact that she's still a woman of Christian faith, even after these horrible people did such horrible things to her and her finances and her family, that she was able to find a greater source of wisdom, particularly from Tim and Kathy Keller, and how they approach God rationally. So absolutely love Dinner for Vampires. I did get it from Book of the Month. I assume you can buy it at your local independent bookstore as well. Absolutely loved that. I don't understand this cover design, aside from maybe trying to look like not Jenny McCarthy, the girl who was on the Nickelodeon show who wrote I'm Glad My Mother Died. I'm guessing they're going for that vibe. Irrelevant. It was a great book. Also, she's from Texas, so I guess that's why the big hair. I don't, no one asked me these things, and yet I wonder all the time. Okay, currently reading. Okay, so I got like halfway through this book, and after the chapter I just read, I think I'm gonna DNF it. People have opinions. This is The Atlas Six by Olivie Blake. I read her 12th Night with a K, her recent YA 12th Night Shakespeare retelling with a gamer. Anyway, that was YA. This is very adult. I think it started as maybe self-published that publishers picked up, and there's a trilogy now, and it is really well done. There are 6 different main characters who all have very unique personalities and backstories and fears and wants, and they get recruited by the secret society who has preserved the Alexandria Egyptian library throughout the centuries and hidden it around the world, and now they're in this competition. But boy, we just got to some over-the-top content for me. So even if it was mostly fade to black, I'm just not comfortable with it, and so I think I might give up. So it's definitely new adult. It is past YA. We're into adult territory, but it's they're 20-somethings and magical, and so I love the concept. I just don't know that I need to finish it. So there's that. Okay. Also actively reading Novelist as a Vocation by Murakami. I only have attempted ever to read one Murakami book. Didn't care for it. Also, I know the mind space I was in. I was on a long trip in a very foreign country, and it just may not have been the right book at the right time. I know obviously millions of people are great Murakami fans. I'm a fan of this book, at least, even if I haven't read a whole book of his fiction. It's just kind of more it's almost memoir about just his philosophy behind writing and literary prizes, and how he became an author is lovely and pretty magical. So absolutely loving this. For nonfiction, it's a page turner. You don't have to be an author or an aspiring author to appreciate this book. And if you have a favorite Murakami book, please let me know in the comments, because I'm interested. I do like at least his nonfiction style. So hooray for that. Also currently reading, read a few chapters and then just got distracted, as Hallie does. This is Queen of Ocean Parkway by sarvenaz. This is a girl who needs to solve a mystery of a missing person in the apartment building where her mom's a super. New kid just moved in, befriends him, and they're taking trips to Coney Island to figure out there's like this, like in Big, when there's like the fortune teller machine that's centuries old, not centuries because America, but very old, and mystery. That's all I know. Also great cover, and not that far into it, but middle grade, appropriate and diverse for all ages. Also read one chapter before I fell asleep for my brief nap yesterday. This is The Wand Keepers by Tiffany McDaniel. She was so kind, and she sent me a signed book plate when I mentioned this last week that I had picked it up and couldn't wait to read it, along with some other goodies that keep falling out of my book. It's a lot of fun already. It is quirky. Unicorns eat boogers, for example, and it starts with a spell for trolls, and it's just like anyway, I'm not even going to try it because I haven't read enough, but it's also illustrated throughout and loving. I just like holding this book. Like, it's beautiful, and I can't wait to read it, as every book that exists in the world. I'm also currently rereading on Libro FM What the River Knows by Isabel Ibañez. I of course remember the cliffhanger, but there's a lot of details I don't remember, and who doesn't want to spend more time with wit? So before I read the sequel that just came out, Where the Library Hides, I'm rereading the audio, which is taking a long time. I'm only like 10% of the way through it. So working on that. And the only other book I know I'm gonna read this week is for book club next week. This is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I did already read this when it first came out last year. Loved it. Enough, obviously, to recommend it to my book club, and they voted on it. And so we got this now that it's out in paperback. And I've already heard from 2 book club members. They're obsessed. They loved it. Couldn't put it down. And so looking forward to diving back in. This is grown-up fiction, time travel, romance, mystery. A gorgeous cover. I don't remember, but I look forward to rereading that. I also have the audiobook. So, you know me, I like all the forms of the pretty books. So anyway, I hope you guys are great. I'm gonna drink more coffee. It is editing day, it is photographing artwork day, it is errand day, laundry day, trying to avoid Trader Joe's and Target day. Happy Thanksgiving week to you, to those of you in America who celebrate. I will be having enchiladas because I don't like Thanksgiving food aside from the pie. So anyway, coffee cheers. We'll talk to you guys later. Let me know what stories you're reading, loving, enjoying. Oh, also, I rewatched Howl's Moving Castle. I slept for an hour in the middle because comfort movie. Gosh, so good. I need to reread that one too. Okay, we'll talk later. Okay.